So hopefully I've figured out the mic volume. I don't think I have, but hopefully, right? So in today's episode, we are going to be adding a function to our campfire, which is going to allow us to cook and cook meat and process various things that you want in your campfire. In this example, we're going to be using a raw steak to cook. So let us just get started with that. Over on your master item over in your inventory interface items, here we got our master item. Open that up and dock it. We're going to need a new struct, so let's create that. New blueprint structure. This one is going to be called cooking info. Open that up and dock it. Inside master item, add a variable, call this one cooking info of type cooking info that we just made. Open up your cooking info. We're going to add 4 variables. The first one is going to be processed. The second one is going to be can be processed. Both of those are booleans. Third one is going to be called turns into, which is going to be a type master item class reference. And the fourth one is going to be processing time, which is going to be a float. Save that master item, compile and save that. You can right click on your master item, create a child. We're going to call this one master food, something like that. Make it a folder inside your inventory. We're going to create a folder called cooking. Move your master food into cooking. Don't have to have a master for cooking, but we're going to have it here anyway. So right click master cooking, master food. We're going to create a child out of that. We're going to call this one F for food, raw steak. Open up your steak. Over in your item info, we need to add the name. So it's going to be a raw steak. Description is going to be probably best to cook. It'll be stackable. We're going to stack it to 64. It's going to be a consumable. We also, honestly, what we want to do is inside our equipment system, we want to add a separate one to this as well, so we don't fill our item info with all of this. Inside of your cooking info, we're going to have process to be false. We're going to have can be processed to be true. It's going to turn into a cooked steak. So we're going to duplicate this raw steak. Call this one F cooked steak. It's going to turn into the cooked steak. There we go. We could also do this in byproduct, honestly. Inside our cooking info, remove turns into save, go back to master item, compile that. Over on raw steak, not processed, can be processed. It's going to have a processing time. I'm going to do 2 seconds on this. It's going to have a byproduct of cooked steak. So when this finishes, it goes into cooked steak. Let's open up cooked steak. This one is going to be called cooked steak. Description, delicious. It's going to be stackable up to 64, consumable. It's going to have no byproducts, 0 fuel. Can be processed? No. Is processed? Yes. Right? So this one is already done. We need some icons for this, so I'm just going to import some. Got my 2 icons here. The raw steak needs the raw icon. Cooked steak needs the cooked icon. Duh. We can add this. If you want to see like how you add meshes to this stuff in the world, if you just let me know. We can do that. And also dropping off items, because I don't think we've added that. Item to add here, we're going to do raw steak. We're going to do 43, yeah, whatever. Let's do a test. There we go. We got our raw steak. And also we need to fix our item details at one point, because right now it's showing weapon details. We could add a separate one that shows for normal things. If we add this now, it's gonna do 0 things because it doesn't have any functionalities. Head into your campfire, up where we do our burn. At the reburn, first of all, we're gonna do a branch from started. If it started, we're gonna continue with the burn. This is just for later. Out from the burn, check on true. Right after we do a reburn, we are gonna do a new boolean. It's gonna be called currently processing. So are we currently processing an item or not? This goes into a branch, and out from false, we're gonna create a new macro. Let's create a new macro. We're going to call this one macro check for process. Put it out after your currently processing check. Put it on false. Inside of our macro, we're going to add a new function. This function is going to be called check for processing item. Inside of this is where most of our horrible shit is going to happen in. So bear with me while we try to get this sorted. First of all, we're going to get our chest contents. We're going to do a for each loop with break on that. And this is where a lot of redundancy is going to come in. So out from your element, we're going to do a valid class, first of all. If it is valid, okay, then we want to get the defaults out from here. We got our cooking info, and we're going to break up our item info. Inside of our cooking info, we're going to do a not boolean and branch out from that. The reason we're splitting up this and not doing a and boolean over here is because when I did this testing, like I had to get them split up, because even if I had to get them split up. I don't know what happened, if it was a bug in my system or if a restart would have fixed it. I don't know, but I needed to do them separate like this, so we're gonna do it like that. Out from category, we're gonna do a switch on the category, and if it's a consumable, we're going to break out. Out from the break, we're going to do another valid class check. If it's not valid, we're going to return. If it is valid, get our chest contents. We need to get a copy at the array index. So we're checking if it's a valid class. If it is, then we're going into another branch. So what we need to do here, out from the item, we need to do a defaults. Out from the info, we are doing the check that we're doing up here, we're doing it again, basically. So the class is valid. We're going to switch on. No, we're just going to actually do a equal, because we already have 50 branches. We might need 50 more, right? So if it's not a consumable, easy, we're going to return. However, if it is a consumable, we're going to go into another branch. Out from this condition, we're going to do a and boolean. We're going to add 3 pins to that. So the first one is going to be processed, not processed, to be exact. So it's not processed. Quantity, so the quantity up here, out from where we broke it, the quantity is greater than 0. And finally, if it can be processed. If all of this is wrong, or if one of this is wrong, we're going to return. If it's true, then what we're going to do is we're going to go into another branch. The condition of this one is going to be if we get the chest contents, we get a copy at the array index, we break open those slots, we check if the quantity minus 1 is equal to 0. That goes into our condition. So if this is false, then we're going to set array elements at our chest contents at the array index that we found. So if this is false, then we're going in there. Let's size that to content. The item is our item, and the quantity is the quantity from the minus. However, if it is 0 afterwards, we're going to do a return. And the return nodes need some outputs. So we're going to need a success. We're going to need a turns into. Not a question mark on that. This is going to be master item class. We need the index, which is an integer. And we need the process time, which is a float. And we're going to need another boolean, which is going to be called kill it. We're going to return with a success. Turns into comes from our byproduct. Process time comes from our cooking info. Index is the array index. and we're gonna check kill it. Why we can't kill it instantly over here, it's beyond me. We kept getting errors, and so let's just do it like this for now. After we do this one, we're gonna return as well. Here we're gonna return with a success. We're gonna return with the byproduct. Index is gonna be nil, 0, and we need the process time. Well, now we're not gonna kill it. Out from this false down here, if everything looking okay, we're not gonna kill anything. Yeah, so that's looking just fine. It's a clusterfuck, I know. So back over to a macro, check for processing item. We're gonna plug that into the input, branch out from success. If we are successful, we're gonna set currently processing to true. We're going to add a delay. Delay is our process time. If we are false, we are gonna add a delay here as well. I'm just gonna add a 1 second delay over here. Inside of this delay, now we want to check if it's started. Why are we checking it if it's started? Because it should obviously be. It's if we run out of fuel before this delay is done, we don't want to give the item. They're losing their item and they're not receiving anything, basically. If you don't want that function, you can just remove this branch. Up from true here, we're going to check if item exists. So does the byproduct exist? So it's the turns into one you want. Does it already exist? Do a branch from that. If it already exists, we're going to add to current stack. The item that we're going to add comes from our turns into from the starter. You can obviously promote these if you don't want the lines. The index is the index from our check if item exists. If it doesn't exist, we're going to find empty slot. If we don't find an empty slot, we're going to leave it as is. They're going to lose their item. And we need our chest contents. Going to set array element. Index is the index item. Split that open, set it to 1, size to fit, and the item is the byproduct. Once this is done, we're going to add a branch. Now we need to start killing off our thing. So this one also goes into that branch, and the delay also goes into that final branch. The condition of this branch is kill it. So are we killing off the array element or not? If we are, we're going to get our chest contents. We're going to set array element. Break that open. The index comes from the incoming index. Item is going to be blank, blank, size that to fit. After this, we're going to get our FPP ref. We're going to get HUD ref. We're going to get chest inventory. Because remember, we have changed our chest now. And we need to initialize it. Both of these, the false go into the initialize. Finally, once we're done, we're gonna set our currently processing to false and plug us into the output. Now, I need to check if I have actually set the index, because I don't, yeah, we have set the index on the one that we're actually killing, so that should be fine. Compile and save that, head back into your event graph. Inside your event graph, if we're currently processing, if that is set to false, we're going to do our macro. Open up your macro. Check that everything is looking fine. Everything should be just fine. So let's do a little test here. If I just have this campfire open, so I can actually see what is happening. It looks like a shit show. I know. Don't worry, I know. Okay, so it's finding it. It's going into this. It is processing. It is yeah, it's looking just fine. Let's try to actually get some more lumber. No, we don't need more lumber. So I'm just gonna sit here and wait. Why did I have so many goddamn steaks? Okay, and the final one is gone. That's looking just fine. Once we ran out of things to get, so it's checking. Going into the macro, it's checking for a processing item. We don't have any more items, so it's just waiting on a new one. That is why it keeps re-triggering. If I stop this campfire, it's going to stop the retrig, right? So this is only active once we actually have some stuff in here. Of course, I can add things while it's going. 42, 41, I can change the location of it. 40, I actually got a bit nervous there, but yeah, it seems to be working. So while we are doing this, I want to make a new folder as well. I'm going to call this one smelting. Inside of smelting, I'm going to add Quixel content, and I'm going to add a furnace, I believe they have. Inside our inventory, inside of Campfire, I'm going to duplicate the BP Campfire. I'm going to call this one BP Stove or something, smelting something. I don't know. I'm going to move it into smelting. I'm just going to keep it as stove. Dock that up to the top. The static mesh is going to be our new stove. Also, when it is in Quixel, you have to add collision to it. So I'm going to add just a simple capsule collision. I'm going to block all. Make sure that everything is set to block all. Compile and save. Now what we want to do over on our interact, I believe it is. Yeah, so this start stop text. So we want to open up the start stop, WBP start stop. Remember, over on our cast fail, we need to now cast to another one. So grab your Huey activating, cast that to BP stove, because now we're trying to activate that. And then do the button switch. So we are gonna just add a little bit of difference. So this is gonna look horrible. Open up your macro, open up your check for processing. Inside of check for processing, currently we got consumable. I'm gonna drag out material instead of that. So our stove is gonna be able to handle consumables and materials, or maybe only materials if you want that. In our loop body, we are checking if it's a valid class. Down where we got the true or false branch, we're gonna take that away. We're gonna switch on item categories. So if it's a material or a consumable, it's going that way. If it's a equipment or a fuel, it's going down to the return node like so. Compile and save that. Let's just check that it actually works before we move on. We get our BP stove. That is not looking okay. Let's get our BP stove viewport. Get that up 90 degrees, like so. Maybe make it a little bit bigger. That's our stove. We go to our stove. We can access it. It's saved. So what we need to do in our get the ID. I'm going to get 555. There we go. Can start it, and it's going to burn through the normal fuel. Now we need some minerals to actually get done here. So I'm going to go into inventory. I'm going to go into items. I'm going to right click item wood. I'm going to duplicate that. I'm going to call this one material. I'm just going to item raw iron. Name is going to be raw iron. Description might need some processing. The icons, I'm going to import the icon. Okay, so I got the two textures. The iron ore is going to go into there. This is going to stack up to 64. Category is going to be material. It's not processed. It can be processed. The byproduct is going to be iron. We haven't made that yet, sorry. So right click your raw iron, duplicate that. This is going to go item, iron bar. Open that up. This is going to be called iron bar. Quite heavy. I don't know. We're going to type here. Do iron bars as the thing. They only stack up to 32. They are processed. They can't be processed. Compile that iron bar. Double check everything's okay. Yeah. These are not processed, can be processed. It's going to take 2 seconds to process them. They are going to have the byproduct of iron bar compile and save that. If we go into our stove now, well, actually we can just probably test this, can't we? If I just duplicate that, and this is going to be wood, 5 wood. Now duplicate that, and this is going to be called raw iron. It's going to be 33. So if I now pick these two up, and let's do the test here first. So I add some of these, and then I add the raw iron. We got 33. It's going down on the cooked steak. Let's go to our stove. We can add our cooked steak here. It's gonna start processing. Stop that. Head over into raw iron. And it's not processing it. So let's figure out what's happening. A little restart fixed the issue. If I now go over here, you can see that it's working just fine. I can close it. I can play again. If I hit play, 33, 32, 31, it's going to start building like so. And that's how you would add different capabilities. So this could be anything you want. This is just an example of how you could do it. If you have any issues or questions or anything, please let me know and we will try to fix them together. Until the next time, I'll see you. Bye-bye.